Yo, what up guys? We are back with another video, and in this one we're learning how to turn these fogged out headlights into these shiny new looking headlights. First things first, I'm just gonna pop the hood so there's less mess to work with, and it's also just easier to get around the headlight, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so now with the headlight popped up, we are just gonna tape all around the headlight, so when we do our sanding, it doesn't really sand anything else, and it doesn't scratch up the paint or the bumpers or whatever around it. And you can pretty much use any painter's tape, so this is what I have lying around, so I'm gonna use this. Okay, so with the headlight all taped off, make sure you get the tape under the headlight between all the panels, just so when you're doing the sanding and when you're doing the polishing, it doesn't really lift it up. So once that is all set, you're gonna either want a bucket of water or just a little spray bottle. I've started to use a spray bottle just because it's a bit easier. So now you can pretty much just get started sanding. So you get that wet, and then you start off with the lowest grit sandpaper, which is the 600, which is this one right here. Some 600s are not wet or dry, but this one, I believe this one is. So start off with the 600, and then I like to do it until once the sanding particles come out white is when I stop with the first grit, just so it cleans off all the oxidization, and so it's cleaned up. So mist your sandpaper with water as well, mist the headlight, and start sanding. And if you can see, I'll bring you guys a bit closer. If you can see, once you start sanding it, all of the residue is it's still brown and it's dirty right now because it's still taking off all the oxidization off of the plastic housing itself. So just keep doing the sanding until you start seeing white residue instead, and every so often just give it a little spray down and it'll clean off what's already there, and then you keep going. Okay, so this is how we are right now. Pretty much all the yellow is gone, and then if you look really up close, you can see all the lines from the sanding, and that's from the 600 grit. So now once all the yellow is gone, that's how you know you gotta move to the 800 grit now. So we're gonna get started with the 800 grit. Okay, so that's good with the 800 grit. For the 800, all you're going for pretty much is just making the lines much finer. So you'll notice that as you sand, it'll start to get smoother when you go back and forth. And then once it's pretty much smooth all the way, all around the headlight, and you hit everywhere, then it's good to move on to the 1000 grit now. And with the 1000, you're basically doing the exact same thing all the way up until 1000, 1500, and then 2000 grit. So just keep repeating the sanding process until you get to 2000 grit. Okay, and so this is now what the headlight looks like after 600, 800, 1000, 1500, and 2000 grit. You'll notice that it's still wet, but it doesn't want to hold onto the water a lot, and so that's pretty much when you know you're good to go. And also, if you look really closely, you can't really see many or any scratch marks or sanding marks or anything like that. So that's how you know you did a good job when sanding, because with the 600 grit you can see all the lines of sanding, and then once you go up to 2000 it evens it out, and it pretty much makes almost a flat surface, but the next step is what gets it perfect. So what you're probably gonna want to do is pull off the tape now, dry off this entire area, and then you have pretty much two different options. You can either hit it with the compound polish and then protect it with the sealant, or the second option is mask off the car and then clear coat it like this, and then that'll pretty much smoothen out all the imperfections and then give it a layer of clear coat instead of the sealant. they both pretty much work the same. I would say the clear coat is maybe a little bit better, but it's also a little bit harder to do because you have to mask everything off, and then you have to make sure first of all, you know how to, like, you need to make sure you know how to spray the clear coat without getting any runs, and then you have to mask off like a lot of the cars so there's no overspray. But what we're gonna do in this one is we are gonna hit it with the compound, the polish, and then seal it off there's a couple different products you can use, but that is what we are going to do next. So I'm gonna pull off the tape, dry it off, and then put another layer of tape around. Okay, so for this next step now, you are gonna need a couple things. First off, you're probably gonna need a polisher of some sort, or a buffer, or something that'll compound and polish the headlight itself. And then you're gonna want an actual compound. I'm using the Meguiar's Ultimate compound, and then I'm using the yellow pad for the compound. And then once you are done the compound, you're gonna be moving to the polish, which is also Meguiar's Ultimate polish. And then with that, you're going to be using a white pad. So let's get started off with the polish, or the compound. Everything is all dried off and retaped, so let's get right to it. So I like to put a couple just dots on the pad itself, and then pat it on and start going. Okay. So after the first pass, just back and forth, this is how she looks. So it is already so much better than what we started with. It's pretty clear now, but I like to do 2 passes of compound, or 2 to 3, depending how it looks. It looks like it can get a bit shinier, so gonna hit it one more time with the compound, and then I will move over to the polish. Okay, so that's how it is right now with the two coats of, or 2 passes of compound. So now I'm gonna switch the pads over to the yellow pad to the white pad, and then we are gonna hit it with the polish. So that is now how it looks. Pretty much looks brand new when it's done. And now for the next part, all we're gonna do is hit it with, you can either use, I think Chemical Guys has a product named Jet Seal. There's Meguiar's has like a headlight spray. There's a couple different products you can use. What I usually do is I just put a layer of wax over it. Anything that acts as a UV protectant for the headlights, with the wax you're gonna have to constantly keep applying it, but if you maintain it, it'll look pretty much good like this all the time. So just gonna hit it with the layer of wax and then let it cure for a bit and then wipe it off, and you're all set. Okay, so the layer of wax is now applied. Give that maybe 5 to 10 minutes just to dig into the pores and get itself embedded in, and then once it starts to haze up, which is usually 5 to 10 minutes, then you're good to just wipe it off and you're all done. So there we have it. Both sides are all done. Looking all shiny on both sides, looking right clear right through, all clear. So that is pretty much how you do it. You do the all you gotta do is wet sand and then hit it with compound polish and then seal it up with either some wax or some jet seal or any kind of protectant that has a UV protectant properties to it. So yeah, that is all for this video. Hopefully you guys learned something and enjoyed watching me go through the process with you of how to restore some headlights. That's how I do it. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different ways, like for example the clear coating way, where you can clear coat it and it'll last probably a bit longer than if you just seal it up with some wax or jet seal. So that is all for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, or if you have any other methods that you use, be sure to leave it in the comments below. So until next time, I will see you guys later.